Dave Williams presents Conversations.buzz.
Daniel, you got a reel-to-reel tape recorder behind you.
I do. Do you
What?
like that?
What the heck
You
is
can also
that?
see my snacks there as
And,
well.
and you've got a cart machine and everything.
I do. Yep, I do. We
And the
actually this board right here back in the back, we were using that up until about golly, probably 2019. I think we were using that, and then we finally moved over to, a little bit more modern, not very, but a little bit more modern board.
I've never been particularly technically alert, but
Right.
that board is exactly the same one that we used. I guess it was maybe a little wider. Maybe it had a few more inputs,
Hmm.
but exactly the same one that we had when I worked at KROY in Sacramento in
Wow.
1970.
And we were using it all the way up till 2019. That's
So, man,
love
it's
it.
good to see you. Now,
You too.
yeah, well, I used to bump into you in the hallway at
Yep.
WBAP and KLIF in Dallas and
Yep.
Cumulus building. And you were producing the morning show at WBAP, right?
I was. I
And
was.
usually when you pass people in the hallway, it's just, hey, good morning, how are you? Goodbye. So
Pretty much.
we never had any chance to talk. But I'm really interested um, in your current position as
Mhm.
a general manager
Right.
at a small station in a small town. And good heavens, you are a relatively young guy to be a GM. How old are you, and how'd you get this job in Greenville, Texas?
Well, Dave, so I'm 31, first off.
Yeah.
But I worked for this station before I worked for WBAP. I actually kind of did double duty for a while. I would go to WBAP for the mornings, get off there, come here, and I'd work here. I started here as just a
50
producer.
miles in each direction.
Exactly. And I lived in Commerce, which is another 20 miles to the east. So it
Oh,
was
no.
a long, loop all day long. But I started over here at the very beginning as a morning show producer. I was part of the show, but I was mainly just the board op. I set up the show and all of that. I was with two wonderful people, Lonnie J. Schoenfield and Schoenfeld rather, and Rita Moon, and loved them to death. But it got started there, and then slowly kind of worked my way up here. I became more of a tech person here at the station, and I started to be able to, fix some stuff that was going wrong. Then ended up going, full time over there at WBAP. Worked there for a few years, and while I was gone, they ended up calling me and said, "Hey, we'd love you to come back. We need you to come over here and help us get some things back in order, and we'd love to give you the title of general manager and the responsibilities that come with it." And I was like, "Okay," and I came back, and I've been here now full time in my position since June of 2021.
Well, you went over that pretty quickly, but the thing that I got from it was the fact that you had a great deal of experience in a short amount of time in various aspects of the business, of the
Right, and this
programming aspect.
right exactly, and working for Kevin Graham over there at Cumulus. Oops, sorry about that. And then, oh, sorry about that. I guess I should have put that do not disturb. Working for Kevin Graham over there at Cumulus was great because he was able to instill a lot of good knowledge into me as well as being program director over there at Cumulus Dallas for WBAP. And I learned some stuff from him in the short amount of time I was over there at WBAP. I did learn a lot from him as well, but I was able to take some of that and then some of my previous radio experience and kind of put it all together. And I love to say that I got little bits and pieces from several places around the market, and it all helped me get to where I am now.
Yeah. So the station in Greenville, or there's two of them, right? You got
There's
two.
two, yeah.
Yeah. One AM.
We've got one AM and one FM. The AM used to be a classic hit station. Back in December, we switched to a ESPN format, and the FM station is a country station, a hot country station for this area.
93.5, the Coyote.
That's it.
All right.
That's the one.
Tell me about the station.
We love it. And we that's the 93.5 The Coyote is definitely the popular station. It's not the one with the biggest signal, but obviously you're not going to have as big of a signal with an FM as you will an AM. But it's definitely the most popular one because country music is just king in this part
Sure.
of the state for sure, and probably this part of the nation as well. It's just huge, huge country music fans everywhere, and we love doing it. We do have, I do the local morning show here on the station on 93.5. We've got a great group here at the station that do some little things throughout the day. Local weather, a local, community spotlights, things like that that you see in, small time radio. And it's all, most of it's done here in house. We have uh, one, we have a few hosts that are not live. They're pre-recorded, but they're a great addition. They make their programs not just cookie cutter programs. They're very much localized. Even though they may not be here, it certainly sounds as though they're here, and that's something that I think is important if you're gonna have a voice track type show. Make it a localized voice track type show.
Well, I do want to talk to you about the small town aspect, but
Yeah,
before we get to that, I'm interested in your morning show. First of
yeah,
all, it's 7 to 9 a.m.
correct.
I was looking at your show lineup, and I can't figure out what happens before 7 a.m. Anything?
That's on me. That's poor website design on my part.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, from 4 to 7, we typically just play the normal, hot country overnight. We do partner with local radio networks, and they, send us a jock for overnights. But from uh from 7 o'clock in the morning till at least 6 o'clock. We have, hosts throughout that time. And then at 7 o'clock, it's kind of weird. We actually have Delilah on at 7 o'clock, but that's something that the owner really, 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 really loved and wanted to have. And when we switched the other format at the other station, he desperately wanted to keep her. So we moved her over there. But we're working with that to kind of get it to fit the country style a little bit better too.
So what is it you do between 7 and 9?
7 and 9, I lovingly say on the show, I say, this is the show where you tune in. You don't know what you're going to hear, but by the time the show's over, you're glad you heard it. Because I find these random stories, these random surveys, this random information that no one ever wakes up thinking, how many penguins, are in Antarctica and how can you help? Or how many, what was one I did this morning? I did, apparently, Olympic, if you're an Olympic swimmer, there's a really good chance you could really be in love with dinosaurs. I mean, little random stories
Yeah.
that I find that just I bring it to them, once every 5, 10 minutes on the morning show. And it was told to me that one time when I talked to somebody who listens, they said, I love the show because I never know what I'm going to hear, but when I hear it, I'm glad I heard it. And it's just that information they can put in their back pocket for whenever they're small talking with somebody.
You're doing what the major market can't do or won't do.
Yep, yep, I agree. It's hard now, and don't get me wrong, I love major markets. But the beauty of small market radio is that it we can be within the community, and we're part of the community. For let's use Dallas as an example. You know, it's hard to be in Dallas and Fort Worth and Garland and Mesquite and Grapevine, and it's hard to be a part of all of those communities. But out here in small East Texas radio out here, it's easier to be a part of Greenville and Commerce and Wolf City and Quinlan, areas like that because they're just a stone's throw away.
Most of the radio pros that I know, myself included, um, would love to do a local show in a
Hmm.
small market
Right.
because of the freedom and the personal connection with people. The idea that when you walk out of the radio station onto the street, you're going to bump into somebody who said, "Hey, I heard you this morning. I really like that," or something.
Exactly.
Is that still happening? Is that what we still dream?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, I was actually at lunch yesterday afternoon, and I was sitting there. I was by myself, quick little lunch in and out, And someone came up to me and said, "Man, I heard your, I forget what story it was, but I heard that story you talked about yada yada yada, and I just thought that was hilarious. Keep up the good work." And I'm like sitting there halfway through my hamburger, like, "Oh, thank you very much." It was great, and it's just it's one of those things that's, and you know this, when you're in radio, there's no there's no recognition in regards to you're looking at the person and go, "Oh, that's so and so,"
Yeah.
because it's our voice that people recognize. So if you never talk to them directly, they're never going to know that it's you unless you have that personal connection already. And that's why, being out here in this area, I walk around right now. I'm not in my t-shirt, but normally I walk around. I've got a little name badge on and everything. And if I'm out doing something, for the station, I've got a badge on that says Daniel Starks, General Manager, and it puts the name to the face. It's nice to be able to be out in the community doing things like that.
Boy, you said a couple of things there I wanted to address. Daniel Stark's general manager.
Yes.
Is that is that does that put up a barrier between you and people at all? I
You
mean,
know what?
it sounds
Go
kind of
ahead.
important, but basically you're just another guy with some experience.
Pretty much, that's all it is. And in big market, radio, general managers, the big thing, the big corner office, and they're there to kind of watch and kind of be and do all the
Yeah,
big thing. Here, yes, I'm having to be part of, some bigger conversations, but you know, I have a corner office, but it's the same size as the office next door and the office next door and the
yeah,
office.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's out here in a 9 acre field out in the kind of the middle of nowhere in northern Hunt County, and it's not a huge title in regards to how it's I'm approachable. It's not a my door is always open. They see the general manager thing on there, but that doesn't mean anything different between general manager, producer, or whatever, because we all are towards the same goal out here.
Okay, how much of your on-air time at the Coyote 93.5 is local?
Is local. So
Yeah.
we have 7 to 9 for sure that's local. We have that localized show that I like to claim is local. She's not, but it very much sounds local, and she has done a lot of things for us, and for the community just from where she's from. But that's from 9 to 2, and then after that on the
Her
weekends
name
we have
is what?
Dee Dee Michaels is her name.
Oh, okay.
And she's wonderful. Love her to death, and very, 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 very helpful. And I can send her anything, and she sends me ideas and back and forth. And even though her butt's not in the chair in the studio, she might as well be. And that's one thing I love about her. Um, but after that, we have some weekend programs. We have two girls, two women here that go by the Lucky Girls, and they do a show on the weekends in the evenings called they call the Lucky Girls, and it's a red dirt country show. And they do interviews with artists. They do right now. They're actually currently in Chalice, Idaho, at some music festival they go to every year, where they're getting liners from artists. They're getting recording interviews with everything, and they're going to come back and do a couple of big shows about it. I mean, they're I think 7 years into that show. They predate me at this station, and they love it. And that's just they're in their late 60s, early 70s, and they just can't get enough of it.
If you could, and uh, could you add more local personalities?
If I could, yes. Right now, just the way that the cards are dealt at the moment, it's not currently in our cards, but that is something we're definitely working towards, is getting some more local talent. We do have we just recently hired two people here for the station that I call we call them producers, but they're more so just they can do anything and everything here that I can. They're very good at production. They're very good at on air, excuse me. They're the ones that do our weather forecasts throughout the day, or our weather reporting throughout the day, and other little things here and there. Very, very talented. And my goal is to work towards them having an on-air shift, um, because they've definitely got the talent. We just have to find them the spot.
Versatility. That's the key, isn't it?
Yep, very much
Small
so.
town radio. And that's the way it used to be to get to a major market. You had to learn everything you could about the business and the
Mhm.
ability to do some of most of it. And
Right.
now there are people getting their first jobs in radio at major markets in major stations in places like Chicago, and
Right.
New York. And I'm wondering if we aren't missing something, if we aren't losing something.
There's definitely something to be said for the local radio. And I'll be honest with you, I have been in major market twice, actually. I got my start here at small town radio, just stone's throw that direction in Commerce at KETR. It's a college owned station, but it's not a college station.
Mhm.
It's an NPR station. I was a reporter and I did the afternoon, all things considered, local hosting part of it. And that's how I got my start. And whenever I wasn't in class, I was out gathering news stories and reporting stuff. And if we did football, which they've been doing football for a while, we'll go out and do the Friday night football stuff. And just getting that hometown local feel is something that I think really truly preps you for how radio works because there isn't a huge technology department. There isn't a huge sales department. There isn't big departments. It's all just the 4 or 5 people that are there. And you learn how to do big radio with small staff.
Yeah. Greenville, Texas is about, as I said, 50 miles from Dallas. It's to the northeast. It's up in the northeastern corner of Texas, or
Right?
close to it. And of course, as we are here in the Dallas area, you're in Tornado Alley, and
Yes.
you get a lot of. It's a beautiful part of the state up
Yes,
there,
it is. Very,
uh,
very nice up there.
but you do get some severe weather. Are you
Yes,
able
we
to
do.
deal with that locally?
It's funny you should ask. So that's actually how I got my start was severe weather coverage. And that has been my personally, that's been my claim to fame, if you will, is the severe weather coverage. We have a setup to where if we have severe weather coverage, we have three options. We can either go live in studio audio only. 2 offices over, we have an office that we've converted into a video studio of sorts with a full green screen and radar capability, where I can stand in front of it and a camera. I can simulcast to our Facebook page as well as to our on-air products on both of our stations as well. Or if it's late at night, like what happened earlier in May, it seemed like we had storm after storm after storm every other
They
week in
always
May.
happen late at night.
Yeah, late
As
at night.
as a morning
Exactly.
person, that's like,
That's
come on,
hard.
give me a break here.
It is so hard. Well, there was one night, 1 week actually in May, where it seemed like every night there was some sort of thing. And of course, I don't have a chance to come up here and get things ready and going up here in that studio. So I have a home studio at home that I have a camera, I've got my radar pulled up, I've got me in the bottom right-hand corner, and I can then click a few buttons and I'm on Facebook and I'm simulcasting, trying to keep people safe. Because one thing that I always say during those broadcasts is, I've got a lot of good friends or at least acquaintances in, Metroplex TV and radio. And lovingly, once you get past the big 4 counties there, Dallas, Tarrant, Collin, and Denton, a lot of the TV stations start to drop off their coverage. And there's kind of a hole out here in Hunt, Hopkins, Lamar, Delta, Fannin, Van Zant, where no one covers it unless it's really encroaching on the main area of those DMAs. And I try to fill the gaps. I go on Facebook and I'm live from McKinney all the way through Mount Pleasant, which is a huge, a
It
huge
really is a
area
big
for one guy
area.
to do.
Yeah.
For one guy to do, but it's just it fills the gap there, and people flock to it if there's severe weather coming because that's kind of the big thing out here for sure.
And a lot of stations in the big markets are just not doing anything about
Yep,
it.
there are. There are. They love that little blue box that says Sage Index on there, and that's all
Yeah.
it does is it catches the alert from the Weather Service, sends out that scary sound on the radio, and it cuts back to regular programming. That's all it does.
Where do you see the industry headed? Is there a place in it for you in the future?
I think there is. I truly think there is. I think the industry is, a lot of people are saying that radio's dying, radio's dying, radio's dying. I don't agree with that. I think that there are a lot of younger people and my generation that truly appreciate radio and appreciate. I saw a thing on Twitter the other day that said we need to find a way to take these podcasts and make them more current and as if we can listen to them live. And it's like you're thinking of radio. That's what you're thinking of is radio.
Right. Yeah.
And we've seen it with with records. vinyls. We've seen it with cassette tapes are starting to come back, which is weird. We've seen it with fashion. We've seen it with a whole several different things. And I think radio is one of those things where people are going to start realizing that, well, yes, digital media is great, but there's something to say for live, right now content from the town you live in.
And the technology might seem old-fashioned because it's
Right,
been around for a long time, but oh my God, how much easier is it to punch a button
right,
than to log in to someplace
right,
and do the search for the particular,
right,
you know, app or station that
right.
you're looking for?
If there's something big, giant breaking happening right now, or there's this massive, cloud of smoke over across the way,
Yeah,
if you're in your car
yeah.
driving around or you just pass something, you're not going to like get out your phone and start trying to find this thing. You can easily just press the button on your radio and there's a good chance someone's talking about it. And you can hear everything that's going on. It's great. It's on demand before on demand was actually a
Before that was
thing.
even a phrase.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so what's in your future?
My future, I am here until I'm not here anymore. I am very, very happy here. We are making some big moves over here at E-Radio Network that I'm super excited about. And I want to be here for it and watch this company grow and help lead the charge in getting some newer stations off the ground and helping possibly some other markets. I'm excited about that.
I haven't been shy about saying I think the future of radio is back in small towns,
Mhm.
small stations, and the
Yep,
big corporations are just eating each other up, eating
yep,
themselves,
yep.
and you
Agree.
know, and damaging the industry and the way it
There's
sounds and the way it feels.
Yeah,
So,
there's some really good people that work for the big companies. There
oh,
really are.
sure,
But
of course.
but I think yeah, but I think you're right. I think that it's definitely one of those things where, small town radio is definitely going to become, if not already, has become more and more and more popular.
Yeah. Daniel, thank you for your time
Thank
and
you.
your thoughts. I love your enthusiasm and where you're coming from, and we'll talk again.
Of course. Thank you, Dave.